So we've sort of done the extremities. So let's talk about layering. I mean, most people who probably watching this channel and maybe come in our shop know that you need layers, base layer, mid layer, hard shell, things like that. They're sort of a given in the UK. What I guess we should know about now is what's specific for your trips, because loads of people always come in and ask for a down jacket for the UK, and I often talk them out of it because it's not great in the damp. But I guess lightweight synthetics and down jackets are actually perfect for what you're doing.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
So if you could tell us when you'd use it and what you'd look for.
I mean, down is designed for the cold, isn't it? That's a really good thing to say. Down is designed for cold and dry, and most of our trips, the sort of top third, if you like, or top half even, are going to be cold and dry.
So you're going to rained on very often there, are you?
Absolutely, absolutely. And this is probably one of the biggest questions that we get asked. I've got a shell that I wear in the UK as a base layer and a mid layer, and that shell. Am I going to need to buy another shell to go over my down jacket? So it's down jacket and shell. And of course, that isn't the case.
No.
We'll always have a big down solid jacket as your last layer on the mountain.
Over your waterproof.
And it's going to go over everything. And in some cases, it's going to go over a harness as well.
Right.
So you might even have a harness and the bottom of the jacket just unzipped a little bit with a double zip. And you've just got your harness poking out of the bottom. So in some cases, you'll even do that.
Right.
And that works on a whole bunch of levels. The first and foremost is that you can put it on and it's easy to put on over everything. But equally, if it gets warmer later in the day, you can just pull it off over your head and stuff it into a rucksack. And so by the very fact that it's over everything really, really works well.
And I guess you always go down because even though you could get a synthetic as warm, it'd be so bulky, wouldn't it? You need to be able to pack this because you're going to be carrying it yourself at the end of the day, aren't you?
Yeah. You for most of our trip, and certainly the sort of, when you're getting into altitude, above 3,500 to 4,000, you want to have that in your rucksack, really.
Yeah.
So it's your sort of last sort of go-to. So you're not carrying your own sleeping bag. That's often in a big kit bag that's been transported by a yak or a porter, but that is your sort of go-to.
Yeah.
So if it's cold and you're stopping, you've got something to put on. But equally on summit day, you're certainly setting off with it on, and you're probably going to have it on for at least half of that day, if not more. And
what would you say about fill power and construction? Because you can get different fill weights and different qualities and box wool and stitch through. I mean, anything particularly good for those?
It can be mind blowing, can't it? It can be mind blowing, and I often when I'll talk to people about down, there's so many facts and figures around, for people to deal with. So getting really good, solid advice. Come to a shop. Talk to people.
Do you know any good ones?
There's a few around.
Nice.
Come to a shop, talk to the experts, but find out about what each specific jacket does. So there are some key things. Firstly, the quality of the down. So it's often split in terms of down and feather. So 90% and 10%, 90% down, 10% feather is a very, very good quality. Lots and lots of down.
Often they put it as 90-10, don't they?
That's right. They split it. That's right. They split it. So a 70-30 is not going to be as great. There's going to be more feather and less down. Consequently, it's not going to be such a warm jacket.
Heavier then, isn't it?
And it's heavier, and they're going to have to put more of that stuff in to make that work. So a lighter jacket with a better fill power or a better type of down in it is going to be lighter. However, I guess you're only carrying that one item, so don't put that over the fill power, and that's the most important thing. So the fill power is the amount of energy, I guess, of the down is being pushed into the jacket itself. So we're often looking at something of a fill power of about 750, something like that, 700.
I guess it's better if it's better, isn't it?
Absolutely. And that's a really good point. People will say, I don't want such a big bulky jacket. I want a slightly lighter jacket. Well, if you're hot, you can always unzip it.
Yeah.
You can always take it off.
Choose a warmer one,
Choose a warm one. Always choose a warm one. If you're someone that feels the cold, go warmer still.
Yeah.
You can always take it off. You can always unzip it.
Yeah. I guess everyone always thinks the higher the number means it's a naturally warmer jacket. It's not always the case, is it?
No.
Because you could have a really light 800 fill jacket, but a really big 700 fill.
Yeah.
So you've got to, again, find out what the jacket is doing. Don't get confused by the numbers.
And equally, within the jacket, of course, there's some really important features you've got to make sure as well. Some jackets will have, a down body and will have synthetic arms.
Right.
Some won't have a hood. Some will try and lighten by taking away pockets and things like that. So you do want, there are some key features. A hood is definitely one. A double zip is definitely one. So you can take the jacket on and off really, really quickly. Really big, long arms. It sounds obvious, but if your sleeve goes over half of your hand is then going to get warmer.
I guess you find one like this is good because you've got Velcro cuffs. You might be having those gloves on, I guess, going through the arms. And
absolutely, absolutely. If you've got long arms and you've got a short bit of your wrist that is shown between a glove and a jacket, you're just going to get cold.
Right.
Yeah.
What about construction? Because this is box wool, isn't it? And I heard you guys talking before that you generally prefer that.
Yeah, absolutely. So if you've effectively, I think the way to think of box wool is that you've really got two jackets that are stitched together. So you've got a liner bit of the jacket and an outer bit of the jacket.
Yeah.
And the concept of down, of course, is that your body is warming up the down. That down then consequently is then keeping that heat in. So if you've got more layers of that, your body can put more heat into more jacket that's going to keep you warmer.
Right.
So there's this continual journey of heat going in and out of a jacket. If that jacket is thinner, then that heat goes into the jacket, but then goes out of the jacket.
Way out again,
It finds its way out. So the heat in a jacket has to find its way back in. So a box wool construction is absolutely the way of doing that.
And that's there's no cold patches either, aren't there? Because there's stitch that you can sometimes see. There'll be a little chilly bit there because there's no down when it's stitched together.
Absolutely. And down, of course, in a stitch through jacket. So that's where the stitching goes all the way from the outer into the inner jacket. Then that down can move around within that cell of that jacket as well. So it's maybe not even just that stitch through element. There could be elements around that pocket that get cold as well.
Good, ideal. So when would you use a synthetic jacket?
Absolutely. I mean, in the same way
that sort of thing.
In the same way we talked about different gloves for different stages of the trip. A synthetic jacket has got its place.
Yep.
So although down is really, really good in the dry and the cold, a synthetic jacket is going to be really usable across the trip, really. So lower down when it's a little bit warmer, perhaps it's wetter.
Might be damper, I guess.
This is going to be ideal. You might stop on the trail or something like that. You can put this on. First few nights when it's not too high, this is going to suit you really well.
Wearing that, you'd be cooking.
And that's just going to be too much. But then, of course, this could then become, if we go all the way back to the beginning, we talked about base layer, mid layer, outer layer. If that's your outer layer, this then becomes a mid layer.
Yeah.
So you could have this and perhaps a soft shell jacket on over the top, or maybe even a shell jacket over the top. Then that jacket on top. This then becomes a really good insulative layer. And it can get sweaty because it's within that layering system, but it's still going to stay
warm and wet,
nice and warm. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I think fit is really important. So I always think a synthetic jacket for this sort of use needs to be reasonably close fitting.
Right.
It doesn't need to be bulky, like a big down jacket. It needs to be within that layering system. But equally, it needs to be in the cut of it needs to be good enough that you can reach and move around your arms, and that jacket then isn't going to disappear and leave cold spots within your system.
Because you'd wear this over that sometimes, but you'd never wear that over this.
Correct. Correct.
Okay, great.
So bigger, slightly less
more
big,
fitted,
more fitted, and then mid layers, base layers, then underneath this. Yeah, exactly.
Well.